On the 11th day of Christmas, Chip Walton went back to Norwegian-inspired brewing and brought Don O, his brew love, a raw ale.
Cheers.
Cheers, dude.
Brew love.
So our 5th beer was my Norwegian style ale, but this is essentially that party at which most of these tasting videos for the 12 Beers of Christmas was shot. That was a crew party that we did on December 6th, St. Nicholas Day. Inspired by our friend Barry Salem, we did a full mash of a beer just for the purpose of using it for hot scotchies. But then no one drank the hot scotchies because everybody drank so much beer. So in my grandfather sparge water heater, I kept it hanging out at about 100 degrees for a couple of days. And then that Sunday, following the Friday of the party, I ramped it up. I brought it up to about 160 degrees Fahrenheit, 170, just to kind of kill anything that might have gathered in there. And this, we're talking about, it was a brew in a bag mash of pretty much mainly Pilsner, but also a little Munich and Vienna. So I brought it up to temp and I hit it with an ounce of New Zealand, I think Pacifica hops, just to preserve it, you know, not really for bittering. I let those hang out for about 15 minutes, and then I'm using like all of the ambient temperatures around our house. So I stuck it outside on the back stoop where it was about, what, -10 or something. Tried to cool it that way, it just wasn't having it. So I ended up having to pour it into the bucket, ice bath it old school style. I brought it down to about 105, and I pitched this new Kveik yeast that I received from our buddy Martin in Norway. It's called Vinje, number 53 on the registry. It is a raw ale strain, which means it theoretically likes to go into unboiled wort. And I learned the very interesting way, it is an extreme top cropper. 20 hours in, Martin was like, if there's a kreuzen, if there's a top, peel that, dry it. I did that, got a big dried batch of new Vinje to share with other people. But then like a day later, there was another inch kreuzen, which I kept waiting for it to fall like an English ale will fall. And then I scooped more, put that in a jar. And then today, when I went to go, we're talking about like 9 days later, there was still a cap. So I have another batch drying. This thing top cropped, like, even though it hit OG or final gravity. So anyway.
You think it did? What did it get down to?
It was about 1016 from about 1060.
It still kind of tastes like, I mean, I want to say unfermented wort, but that just means that it doesn't taste like a typical beer that you make in the regular process and get down to 1016. It's raw ale. I know they're different. I've had them all from Ivar and other people. It just has a different character. It's hard to get your mind to think, oh, this is a beer. This is a Norwegian raw ale beer. Yeah. It's not what you're used to drinking. It's not unpleasant at all. It does have a, it's just a different animal.
It's so cloudy. It's not done. And what I'm going to do at this point, you know, I'm considering this kind of like an Oppskaka plus. So Oppskaka is like on the 3rd day when it's hit final gravity, they start scooping it out of the fermenter and drinking it. This is 9 days later, but still, because it was a kreuzen and it looks this cloudy and that much Kveik is formed on the bottom, we're drinking like a living thing.
It's real grainy, and earthy, and I said brothy before, but it's you know, malty, sweet. It doesn't have the bitterness. It does have a little bit of the yeast character. This yeast is interesting. Like, I wonder what I've been making these Kveiks with like regular neutral beers and then throwing in like the yeast to just see what the yeast will do. And this one is interesting too. I don't know how it compares to Otterdal or Sigmund Uranus or
The Vinje is from Lars Marius from Stordal. It says pitch at 27.5 Celsius. Which I don't know 100%, but it says harvest from the top, which I did.
It's pretty warm.
Time to harvest 24 hours. Permissions, I love this. They say research, yes. Share with brewers, yes. Sell commercially, yes. So the people whose farm or family these Kveiks come from have kind of the right to determine how it gets used. It doesn't say a lot about like things to expect.
Characteristics, okay.
But the things, you know, that are definitely not making this Norwegian is it was brewed in America. We did it brew in a bag, and I will admit that Barry and I really didn't like exude a lot of patience because we were making meatballs and getting ready for 12 people to come over. So the Vorloff itself wasn't very clear, which means going into the grain father, I mean, its whole life it's looked this cloudy straw.
Some of the ones that we get from Norway are similar, aren't they? I mean, or do you think they're clearer?
I feel like they're clear, but that could also be a byproduct of like
time
sitting longer, going across an ocean, and then sitting in my fridge.
Yeast will settle out. If there's stuff in there that's not yeast that's making it cloudy, then that might be another
I mean, this was pulled out of a fermenter that's still kind of deciding whether it's done or not fermenting. But I get, like you said, very grainy, brothy, rich. But considering that we know that this is a malt bill of pretty much like Pils, Munich, Vienna, and these hops from New Zealand, but that weren't boiled.
Right.
I feel like this Kveik is still doing a very fruity thing, which seems to be what a lot of them do. A very like tropical, apricot-y, peachy. This was basically an effort to not waste wort.
You know what?
And it could still get better as it settles. I'm going to keg it and I want to see.
On that quest, it was a complete success.
Yeah.
I mean, to make something out of some wort that otherwise somebody might have just dumped. Because what are you going to do with it? Like,
and I literally like went back and forth.
Oh, you did?
I had to work the next day and I was just like, do I want to do this? Do I want to be up to 1 doing this? Yeah, in a day plus of sitting on my back counter, it didn't spoil, it didn't go bad. We just kept it hanging out, and it got the treatment. The beauty of having that raw ale Kveik on hand was I felt no obligation to truly break out a kettle, boil it, treat this like a beer.
That's true. You could.
It was easy to
shortcut a couple of steps and save yourself a little bit of effort and time, and still produce something that's kind of 2A style. And
if anything, I got 3 rounds of Kveik dried through it, so now I have like Kveik to give for Christmas. Kveikmas.
In your stocking.
Yeah.
If you've been a good little brewer.
The trolls will smile upon you, and the ravens. All right, well, I don't know if I'm gonna drink all that because legend has it the Obskaka can, you know.
Obskaka?
May also lead to Obskaka.
So good. That's the wrong.
That's what they say, man. They seem to be very proud of like a beer that makes you shit yourself.
Oh boy.
I don't know if it's because of the alcohol or because of like you're drinking a sourdough starter, essentially.
Can't say I've ever had that beer. But I'm still young, so there's hope.
There's always time, Ivar. We'll get them to Norway and we'll have that beer. All right, dude.
All right.
Cheers. Keep it raw, brah.